Hello again, my friends. We are going to talk about another cycle today. Remember, cycles are things that happen, a series of events that happen in the same order again and again and again. We have talked about the day and night cycle, the cycle of the seasons, the cycle of flowering plants, and the life cycle of trees. Remember, the life cycle of trees and of flowering plants goes seed to seed. So they start as a seed, and as they move through the different stages in their life cycles, they come back to the seed again. Adult plants or trees will produce more seeds, and the cycle will begin all over again. Today, we are going to learn about the life cycle of an animal. So another living thing, but not a plant or a tree this time, an animal. We are going to learn about the life cycle of a chicken. Before we get started, let's go over our vocabulary words. Embryo, an unborn or unhatched animal early in its development. A developing chicken embryo must receive nutrients and oxygen from its egg. Yolk. Yolk is the yellow internal part of an egg. Tina dropped an egg on the floor and the yellow yolk spilled out. Albumin. Albumin is the clear or white part inside of an egg that surrounds the yolk. The albumin, or egg white, is part of the egg used in some recipes, such as angel food cake. Fertilize. Fertilize means to make an egg able to grow and develop into a chick. A rooster can fertilize an egg before a hen lays it, which allows a baby chick to grow. Replenished means to replace, restore, or refill. The refrigerator was almost empty, and the groceries needed to be replenished. I'm going to read a list of several things to you. If what I read describes something that can be replenished, say, "That can be replenished." If what I read describes something that cannot be replenished, say, "That cannot be replenished." All right, our first one is an empty glass of water. That can be replenished. We can refill it with more water. An almost empty gas tank. We can also replenish or refill an empty gas tank. What about snacks for school? Those can be replenished. When we eat all of the snacks we have, we can replace them or refill them with more snacks. What about a bubble when it has burst? That cannot be replenished. Once the bubble has burst, it's gone and we have no way to bring it back, to bring the exact bubble back. A chicken is a type of bird. Did you know that there are more chickens in our world than any other type of bird? In fact, there are more chickens on Earth than people. Like almost all birds, chickens have feathers and wings, and they lay eggs. Chickens can fly, but not very far. Have you ever heard the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? If you listen carefully to this lesson on the life cycle of a chicken, you'll see why that question is so difficult to answer. All living things go through a sequence of stages from birth to adult called a life cycle. The life cycles of plants and trees begin with seeds. The life cycles of chickens begin with eggs. Have you ever cracked an egg open? The outer layer that you crack is called the eggshell. Eggshells can be many different colors, including white, light brown, speckled, pale blue, or even green. Inside the shell, the egg consists of a yellow yolk, which is made mostly of fat, and a clear part called the albumin. Do you know what a female chicken is called? A female chicken is called a hen. What about a male chicken? A male chicken is called a rooster. Hens lay eggs. Not all eggs become baby chickens or chicks. In order to produce chicks, a rooster must fertilize the eggs before the hen lays them. Fertilization is similar to pollination. Just like flowers need pollen from another flower in order to make seeds, hens need roosters in order for their eggs to become baby chickens or chicks. Eggs that are not fertilized do not become baby chickens. They are sent to stores so that people can buy them and eat them. As soon as a hen lays her fertilized eggs, she will begin to care for them. The hen will sit on the eggs and even turn the eggs to make sure that they stay warm. The eggs need to stay warm for 21 days in order to develop into chicks. 21 days is 3 weeks. Let's find out what happens inside the egg during this time. Inside the fertilized egg, great changes are happening. A tiny embryo is developing inside the egg. An embryo is an animal in the early stages of life before it is born or has hatched. The embryo needs food, water, and oxygen to grow and develop. Within 48 hours of fertilization, tiny red blood vessels spread out from the embryo to the yolk and to the inside of the shell. Directly under the shell are 2 membranes, or air sacs, containing oxygen. As the embryo develops and grows into a chick, it uses this oxygen. The supply of oxygen is replenished or replaced as oxygen passes through the egg of the shell of the egg. How does oxygen pass through the shell? If you look at an eggshell under a magnifying glass, you will see that it has tiny holes called pores that allow oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. Humans also have pores. Pores are the tiny openings on our skin out of which hair grows. The parts of the egg inside the shell contain all of the food the growing embryo needs in order to develop into a fully formed chick. The yellow yolk provides the food necessary for the embryo to grow big and strong. The clear part of the egg, or albumin, surrounds the yolk and provides the growing embryo with more food and water. The first part to develop is the chick's nervous system. Then the brain starts to form, and then the heart starts to beat. After 5 days, the wings and the legs begin to develop. After 7 days, the embryo is fully formed, but is quite tiny. Around the 10th day, feathers begin to develop, and the growth of the fully formed embryo into a chick accelerates, or speeds up. As the chick grows, it uses up its food supply. After 20 days inside the egg, the chick pierces, or makes a hole in the air sac, and begins to breathe air with its own lungs for the first time. This means that the chick is ready to hatch out of the egg. The chick begins to chirp to let its mother know that it will soon be in the outside world. On the 21st day, the chick uses its egg tooth to chip a circle around the inside of the shell. It pushes against the sides of the egg with its body to break open the shell. When the chick first emerges, it is tired from the effort of breaking out of its shell. It is also wet. Before long, however, the feathers dry out and become lovely and fluffy. The mother hen, having cared for her eggs, continues to care for her chicks. She will shelter them under her wings to keep them warm and dry. Chicks know instinctively how to scratch around in the dirt for food. That means that chicks know how to scratch around without being taught to do so. For the first 2 weeks, the chicks stay close to their mother. Chicks grow quickly in the first months of their lives. When a female is about 6 years old, she will start to lay eggs. These first eggs will be quite small though. Interestingly, females are called pullets, not hens, until they are 1 year old. Roosters are able to fertilize eggs at a similar age. And so the life cycle begins all over again. A rooster fertilizes eggs before a hen lays them. The hen will care for the fertilized eggs and keep them warm. After 21 days, the eggs will hatch and new chicks will emerge. Now that you know more about the life cycle of a chicken, which do you think came first? The chicken or the egg? Alright, my friends, today we learned about the life cycle of a chicken. Who can tell me what the life cycle of a chicken is? What are our steps in the life cycle of a chicken? We've got the egg, we start with the egg, a chick, an adult chicken, and then the adult chicken will lay new eggs. Do all chicken eggs develop into baby chicks? No, only the eggs that have been fertilized by a rooster will develop into baby chicks. The eggs that we eat, like when you make scrambled eggs for breakfast, or when you bake them into a cake, those eggs have not been fertilized and will never turn into baby chicks. How does the mother hen help her chicks grow inside the eggs? After she lays the eggs, how does she help those baby chicks grow? Right. She keeps them warm by laying on top of them. She also makes sure to turn them every once in a while to make sure that both sides are evenly heated. What does a growing chick use for food before it hatches? So while it's still growing in the egg, it needs food to be able to grow big and strong. What does it use for food before it hatches? It uses the parts inside the egg. So we talked about the yolk, or the clear or white part of the egg, and the albumin, which is the yellow center. It eats that for food to help it grow and be able to hatch. What does a baby chick do to break out of its shell when it does finally hatch? You've got it. It uses its egg tooth to chip a circle into the egg and then pushes against it with its body to break free. Alright, my friends, we are going to talk about one more thing before we move on. But before we do, I want to show you what the inside of an egg looks like. Hold on one second, my friends. Alright, my friends, I have a real egg here. The outside of the egg, this white, hard, protective covering, is the egg shell. The egg shell protects the embryo inside the egg while it's growing. If we open this one, we have two other parts to our egg. So we've just opened up the shell, that hard protective covering. Inside the shell where the embryo lives, there is this clear outside area. That is the albumin. That provides food and water for the growing embryo. This round yellow center of the egg is called the yolk. The yolk of the egg is the main source of food for the growing embryo. This egg that I have just cracked into this bowl would have never been a baby chick. Why would this have never grown into a baby chick? This egg had not been fertilized by a rooster. Remember, an egg will only grow an embryo and begin the life cycle of a chicken if it has been fertilized by a rooster. This one was not fertilized, so there was no embryo, just the albumin and the yolk. Remember, the life cycle of a chicken starts with the eggs. Once the eggs hatch, a baby chick will emerge from the eggs, and the baby chick will grow into a full-grown adult chicken, a hen or a rooster. Today, you guys get to be authors and illustrators. So remember, an author is the person that tells or writes the story, and an illustrator draws pictures of what's happening in the story. Don't worry, we're not going to do a ton of writing today. As authors today, you only have to write one sentence. So instead of a whole story today, you are only going to author or write one sentence. I want your one sentence to be about the life cycle of a chicken, from egg back to egg. Tell me what stages that a chicken goes throughout its life cycle. You can put your sentence anywhere on this first blank page on our assignment today. I also want you to illustrate one of the stages of a chicken's life. So you might illustrate the egg stage, you might illustrate the embryo stage, the chick stage, or the adult stage. You decide which stage of the life cycle of a chicken you would like to illustrate. So one sentence and then one picture of a stage. And that is all that you have to do for your assignment today. Underneath this blank paper, where your sentence and illustration will be, there is a letter for your parents and family to read. This explains what we'll be learning about in the next couple of lessons. Again, when you are done with your sentence and your illustration, go ahead and turn it in, and you are all done for today.